Welcome everyone, welcome to another episode of Son of Elijah. My name is Mac the Lion and I'm your host for this program. We enter into a new series that we have titled Mythical Babylon. Mythical Babylon. And I have taken about some time to rationalize and do some spiritual soul searching in line with this revelatory alignment that I've been privileged to receive from God. Some weeks ago, I was in an encounter in heaven, and while I was in the very throne room of God, I was before the very oracle of God. Now, the oracle of God is the wisdom of God. Now, anytime I receive something, or I'm running with a project or an assignment, I'm always privileged by God to access the very wisdom of God. And by that access, I'm given that opportunity to look through what I'm doing and to see how far I have gone, and then a proper reevaluation of that which I've been designated, if I'm on course and all that. Now, if you know anything about the wisdom of God, if you go to the book of Proverbs chapter 7, especially chapter 8, then chapter 9, you will see the centrality of the very wisdom of God, and she's referred to as feminine in nature simply because wisdom is feminine. Now, because of the time that we have and the centrality of staying on subject, I will not be able to delve into the dynamics of trying to do a proper teaching and an expose in line with the very centrality of the femininity of the very essentiality of the wisdom of God. But I would just want to say that so that once I use the word she or her, some of you will not, fly off the handle and misunderstand what exactly I'm doing. But as it were, I have to just explain to you this vision I had. Now, in this vision, I was in the throne room of God. I was in the section where God's oracle is. And then I was talking to the very wisdom of God. And then as she spoke to me, she told me this. She said the purpose of the mission and the mandate called Son of Elijah is to clean up the church. Is to clean up the church. And as she said that, she said it repeatedly. The purpose of Son of Elijah is to clean up the church. And as she said that, she gave me wipes. And these wipes look like those wipes that we use for wiping down our cart when we go into a big departmental store. There's usually wipes in case you need to wipe out the handles and all that. So that was the exact type of wipes, or I think they also call it alcohol or disinfectant wipes. And then in that vision she gave me, and as I was making movements of like cleaning up what I had come to understand as the church in that representation, when I picked it up and looked at myself, as I looked at the wipes, I saw it was all dark substance. It was like dark powder was all over the church, as it were. And then she told me, she said, now this mission of cleaning up the church involves three specific things. Now, as she was talking to me, then she was showing me how far I had already gone, because I have all these multiple platforms. In short, I have about 14 distinct platforms that I have generated in order for me to carry out this mission. And one of them, of course, is the platform that you and I are on today, which is using YouTube, as it were, or any other place where I put this content into, like Facebook or any other place. So I'm using social media in order for me to carry out this project. Then I talked to her about, videos and subscribers and all that. She told me don't pay any attention to the analytics of all that. I just want you to pay attention to the prototype of the assignment that is given to you, to make sure that it lines up in exactness of that which the mandate has been given to you. Now, once you understand anything about mandates, you know it is an executive order released by a king in order for something to be accomplished, an assignment to be run with, and a calculated end to be achieved as a result of that which the king has mandated or demanded therein. So the demands as it regards Son of Elijah is specifically to clean up the church. Now in 2013, the angelic representation of a man by the name of Elijah came to me. Now, I said angelic representation because he was clouded in a beautiful white robe. He did not have wings. The encounter was in my room. It wasn't even in heaven. It was right in the room where I was. And he appeared to me. He rode upon a smoke. So that's why I say it's an angelic representation. But it's actually the spirit man of Elijah and the body man and the soul man, three of them all together, because Elijah did not die as it is today. He's still very much alive, but he's in heaven. So in that encounter he came, and it was him that flagged off what I later learned to be the assignment that was called Son of Elijah. He flagged it off in 2013. He ran for 7 years. After that, 42 angelic beings came through a season of 7 solid years, and then gave me and inculcated the things that I've received, and then the anointings, of which there are over 17 of them, and then 17 anointings in all, and then the visitations continued without any break, without any slowdown for 7 years. Okay, just wait a minute. I want you to do something for me that I cannot do for myself. Please just look down there. Yes, you will see a button, a like button. Please hit it. And if you've not subscribed, this is the perfect time for you to just subscribe also and be a part of this gang of holy rollers so that you can take advantage of the good stuff that will be coming your way. Now we'll continue in our subject for today. Thank you. And then in 2019, it was consummated by the visitation of the Archangel Gabriel. And then he told me something specifically, which I won't go into now because we are rushing. And then that was in 2019. And then about the month of June 2021, I now had angelic visitation from 2 beings from the presence of God. They were cherubims and seraphim. So I remember I asked the angel that was with me that day, and I said, are these cherubims or are these seraphims? And then he told me they are invariably the same. Those were his words. Exactly. They are invariably the same. So after that interaction, when the angels came and the archangels came, these cherubims and seraphims, I remember I was looking at their hand, and they had mighty swords in their hands, and these swords were some of the most furious things I've ever seen, and they were flashing. It had lights were emitting out of them, and it looked like as if they were turning and flashing, and their blades were switching simultaneously. And when I saw as they held them, I saw that the hand that held them, I couldn't see the grip of that sword, so it looked like as if right from their person came out those swords. So I couldn't tell where the grip started from and where the tip of the sword or the handle of the sword took off from. I just couldn't tell. And then I was telling the angel that was with me, I would like to touch this sword. And he told me, he said, how exactly do you intend to achieve that? Because of course it's practically impossible to do that. So in that conversation, I remember clearly when these beings, majestic beings, spoke to me, they used the term Son of Elijah. That was when I heard it for the first time. It came from their lips, Son of Elijah. They referred to me as Son of Elijah. Now, I was already used to those angels who I was with, because they normally speak, and when they speak, they refer to me as the lion. That's what they call me. But now, the angels that were now in the presence of the archangels, of seraphims and cherubims, were now speaking, and they said, Son of Elijah. And now, fast forward to this encounter that I had a few weeks ago. I was now with the oracle of God, and then she was saying that Son of Elijah has a clear-cut mandate, and the mandate of Son of Elijah is to clean up the church. And then when she said that, she gave me these wipes, and then I was doing a wipe down, and when I turned to look at my tissue-like paper, it was covered with black dust because I had wiped them down, and then I had all this dust. And then she started speaking during after. She said there are 3 things that you are meant to accomplish. There are 3 specific things that you are meant to accomplish with this mandate. He said, number 1, I need you to get to mythical Babylon. I need you to get mythical Babylon out. That's what she said. That was the first thing she said. I need you to get mythical Babylon out. So when she said that, I mused within myself, and I said mythical because I did not speak or I didn't ask questions. I was just busy listening to what she was saying. She said mythical Babylon, and I mused over it. I was thinking it through. I said, no, she couldn't have said Mystery Babylon because I knew what Mystery Babylon was. But now I'm hearing Mythical Babylon. I know what a myth is, and I know that the adjectival classification of the word myth is what is the word mythical. But what I didn't understand was why it was now attached to the word Babylon, because I'm used to the word Mystery Babylon. But I said nothing because I was listening and I needed to hear everything she was saying. Now the next thing she said was that you need to get the rats out of the church. You need to get the rats out of the church. So there were rodents in the church. There was a rodent invasion in the church of Jesus, and they need to be taken out. And then the last thing she said, do not forget the prisons and the prisoners in church. So there were prisoners in church and they needed to be taken out of their prison hold. So there were three specific things she spelled out to me. First, the mandate is for me to get to Mythical Babylon and get them out. The second thing was for me to get the rats out of the church. So there were rats in the church. And then the third thing was for me to get to the prison houses and get the prisoners out. So that is the clear-cut vision of Son of Elijah. Now, when I heard this, I had to do a little bit of research. Now, it didn't end there because I just want to explain the vision and I want to, try as much as possible to just finish that storyline. Then, as she kept explaining to me, I saw in another example or clarification of the vision, I saw I was wearing a certain eyeglasses, and in this eyeglasses it had a triple coating. It had a bluish coating, it had a reddish coating, and then it had a whitish, that looked a little bit greenish tint to that whitish coating. There were three of them, and then I now saw that special glasses that was given to me gave me the ability for me to see and resolve things, each in their proper classification according to those three layers. And in that three layers, I'm able to resolve and bring the truth of that which was necessary for the church to attain. So that glasses was given to me. She was the one who gave me those glasses. It was an eyewear, but it had three coating. Your normal eyeglasses comes in clear glass, but when you send it into the ophthalmologist, and he sends it down to the opticians who will prepare it and finalize it. When they do, they will ask you, do you want coatings? Which color would you want? Which tint would you want? And then it will give you different types or sides of coating. Some have a stronger shade at the top side specifically for the sun rays, and then the lower side it fades all the way until the clear glass. So all these are things that they give you as options, and then you pay for it because a different service actually is an add-on payment aside from the regular medicated glasses that you obtain. So in that vision, I was shown clearly that the eyeglasses itself had been coated by the very depth of the wisdom of God in order to give me access to a certain level of understanding so that I can resolve things. Now, that vision now continued. As it continued, then she was talking to me, and she was talking to me about the saints of God, the importance of this work, that which the Father wants concerning his children. And as she was talking to me, the vision changed. In that vision, our environment changed. And in that environment, I saw the church. And then we were on one side of Jordan. I don't know how to explain it, but it was the Jordan River. And we were on the other side of Jordan, which was the good side, or the side wherein is God's side. Because I saw that Jordan differentiated those that were on the negative side and those that are on the positive side. Those who were meant to, for one reason or the other, they are still on the other side of Jordan and they are not able to enter God's promises or not able to enter God's essentiality, or as it were. But that river divided two groups of people. It wants to look like when Jesus was talking about the goats who were on the left hand side and then the sheep that was on the right hand side. So that's how I saw it. So I was on this side, which was on the right hand side of River Jordan, and there were millions and upon millions of people. And then in that center where I was standing, I was there, and the wisdom of God was there with me. But as she was talking, all of a sudden, I saw a fella. This fellow was speaking very loud, and he was talking and talking and talking. And as I paid attention to this fella, I now recognized his face, and I now saw that he was a YouTube publisher. He was an individual who is a Christian teacher, or I don't know, he gives his commentary on different people, on YouTube, different men of God, preachers, the ones who are false prophets, the ones who are false teachers, the ones who are this, and he was classified. He went on and on and on and on. And I was listening to him. I saw that he started speaking in a bad light, some specific ministers. And I heard him speak ill of Benny Hinn. I heard him speak ill of Kenneth Copeland, and then he went on, and he was calling out some of them, and he was calling them by different names, that they were false this, they were false that, and he was trying to talk. Now, I later now understood the reason why the wisdom of God showed me this, because he was trying to tell me that your classification is not this classification, because this individual just kept going on, and he was talking about them, presenting them in a bad light. And I'm talking about specifically this preachers, some of them that have been classified as, how do they classify them? Some of them that have been classified as maybe mega pastors, or mega preachers, or mega church leaders, or something like that. Some of them also classified as prosperity preachers. Some of them, so he was calling out, but I heard clearly the two figures that I just presented to you, in the person of Benny Hinn and in the person of Kenneth Copeland. And then this guy continued, and I saw that he had a lot of people who were listening to him. He was making an impact, and I saw that he had more than a million subscribers on YouTube, and he was trying to say things about this people, and he was going on and on and on. And as he was talking, I spun, or should I say, I moved my head towards the very wisdom of God. And I was about to say, what this person is saying, is the person accurate? Is this what he should? And as I was just about to talk, she just spoke to me. He said, but I love all of them. I love them. And those were the words. And when she said it with excitement. She said it with love. She said it with, like I say, but these people, or these persons that this one is talking about, I really do love them. I love these ministers. And then those were her words. She just loved them. I could see that excitement, but I love them. And because I wanted to ask her, but this individual is trying to classify these individuals as some type of false teachers and as I was just about to say, ask. So she already knew what I wanted to say, and she just said, but I love them. And the very minute she said that, I turned back to this fella because I wanted to tell him that, hey, the wisdom of God approves of these individuals. Love them. Why are you speaking so ill of them? And as I turned back to talk to this individual, he was gone. I couldn't see him anymore, but I kept hearing his voice. His voice continued, but I could no more see his bodily presence. He was just beside me, and I was wondering, where did he go? Where did he go? So I looked this way, I looked that way, I looked left and right. I couldn't find him. Then but I kept hearing his voice. So in my spirit, I started trailing the voice. And as I trailed the voice, I saw that the ground had opened and he had entered into it. But he kept walking. He kept walking. And as I looked, because you see, this is a spiritual encounter, so I was going through the motions of that spiritual encounter. And as the ground opened up and swallowed this guy down, on this side of Jordan, I looked down, and then I could see the cavity that had swallowed him up. And then my eyes followed him. And as my eyes followed him, I saw that he started disappearing deeper into the ground. And then one way or the other, I saw that it was now a channel. And then it was like a duct. Just think of it like someone chasing a vein of gold. Because you go wherever the gold leads. You don't determine whether you should drill down or drill left or drill right. Whether it's platinum, whether it's gold. Because I've watched some of those videos before of how they chase the vein of gold. So that's how it looked like. It looked like as if this guy, the ground opened up and swallowed him up. But now that ground was going to a certain direction which he cannot regulate. So as I looked down, I noticed that he kept going down, and then all of a sudden he turned leftward. And as he turned leftward, he now started going deeper. And as he was going downward, he was so deep that he had gotten to the point where he was now turning left. And my eyes kept following him. It's like a channel running through the ground. through beneath the earth. And this is spiritual. So I'm not following him spiritually, but my spirit mind was with him. My soul was with him. So it's like as if my soul was following that space wherein he had created as he was going into the ground. And then I saw that he had taken a U-turn. He went down, and then he went left. And then as he went left, he was now under the very belly of the river Jordan. And then he kept going, but now he wasn't in the water because he had gone so deep that he wasn't touching water. He was in the land part. And then he continued to go, and then he went left, and then he went left, and then he went left, and then he circumvented the river. And then by the time he was able to scoop past on the beneath the riverbed, he continued to go through that U shape, and then before you know, he started coming up again. And as he started coming up again, and then he jumped out, and then he hit the surface of the earth, and then he came out. All this while, he didn't know that he was going through all that, because he just kept speaking. He kept talking to the people who were listening to him, and he went on and on and on and on, and then eventually he manifested. He manifested. The very minute he manifested, he was now on ground again. And now there were people around him, and he continued to speak to the people around him. And then when I looked, I saw that the people around him were not the same type of people who was on this other side. And when I looked, all of a sudden, I saw that he was now on the other side of Jordan. And then I came back to my spiritual body, and then I could now see him from where I was standing on this side. The wisdom of God was with me. The saints of God were with me. All of them were cladded in white. Everyone was glowing, and he was there originally. But he found, I don't know what happened. He got the ground opened up, sucked him in. He traveled through the membrane of the inner portions of the earth without knowing, and then he channeled his way out, because it was like as if a power was drawing him in, and then he busted out on the other side of Jordan, and now he was standing there, and then he continued his message. He didn't miss a bit. All the time he was traveling through that capsule or membrane or innate channel through the depths. He was speaking, he was flowing, he was talking, but he didn't skip a bit. He just kept ministering and talking to the people who were listening to him, and then he busted out on the other side. Now he was on the other side of Jordan. Now he was with people who were meant to be Christians, but they were not on this side of Jordan. They were stuck on the other side. And on the other side were where the unbelievers, where the unsaved were, where the uncircumcised were, where those who were not part of the salvation, establishment in Christ Jesus. There were those who were on the other side. There were those who were not rapturable. There were those who had mixed on that boat. There were those who, one way or the other, maybe their names were in the Lamb's Book of Life, but they were no more there. They were now on the other side. And this guy was with them, and he kept on preaching to them, and they were listening to him. And that crowd were even enjoying him more. They were liking what he was saying. They were nodding when he kept castigating, kept attacking, kept speaking ill of this type of individuals, and he was calling them false prophets, false teachers, false this and false that, and he was saying, God does not approve of these people. And then he went on and on and on and on, and all this while his crowd has changed. He didn't know. All this while the ground under him has moved. He didn't know. He just kept going on and on. And as he went on and on, I looked at the wisdom of God. The wisdom of God said nothing, and I was wondering what is going on here. This guy was with us. This guy was on this side of Jordan. This guy was connected to the spirituality of God. How did he end up on the other side? How was he sucked in? So that means he no more belonged here. And then the ground opened up itself and swallowed him and sucked him away. And now he was on the other side of Jordan. He was still ministering. He was still talking. Remember, the other side of Jordan is where the whole nation of Israel perished. Them that didn't have faith, them that didn't truly believe in God, them that didn't believe his word, them that didn't believe the commands of God, them who Moses brought the tabernacle and the messages to, but for one reason or the other, they didn't enter the promised land. They ended up sinning. They ended up being cajoled by the 10 who lied to them and then believed those falsehoods, and then they were trapped on the other side of Jordan, and then ended up staying on the other side, and then ended up with the materials and the things that they heard and believed, and they were the ones who murmured. They were the ones who complained. They were the ones who said things were not going their way, and that they had preferred to be in Egypt than to be in this miserable place, eating this manna, eating this rain down of wafers that angels were feeding them every morning. They were the ones who griped about everything they really had wanted and were not experiencing. And now they were on the other side of Jordan. Now they were on the other side of the place. Now they were on a different plane. Now they were in a different place. Now they were experiencing something they originally did not sign up for. Now they were on the other side. And this guy was there with them. And that is the unrupturable church. That is the miraculous church. That is the church that will not cross to the other side. That is the church that will rather be closer to Egypt than to be closer to the promised land, or to be in the promised land. That was the church that started out believing God, but somewhere along the line they missed it. They failed. They got caught up. They thought they were doing God a service. They thought they were doing the ministry. They thought they were doing what God commanded them to do, but they had missed out. And with all these things that I saw, I was a little bit shaken up, because I had just received a clear-cut mandate of what Son of Elijah was for. Son of Elijah is not a person. Son of Elijah is a mandate. Son of Elijah is an assignment. Son of Elijah is that which the Lord has scheduled and designated to neutralize the Babylonian entities of Mystery Babylon and everything that shall follow suit therein afterwards. So that was very clear. And now the wisdom of God was trying to give me the exactness, because she had listened to the message I put out on YouTube, and then she said fine but not good enough. And then based on that, she now started zeroing in on the specificity of that which the mandate was, even though the mandate was very clear to me, but now I didn't understand it in the intricacies of it, and now I needed to push towards it in a more refined way. Now after I'd returned to my bed, after I got out of the vision, then I started processing everything I had seen. I started thinking through on the encounter I just had, and it was very, very vital, because it's part of what has brought us to where we are. Now about 70 days have passed since I had that encounter. And after that timeline, I took time, as it were, to process everything, to muse over it, and then now proceed. I finished the content I had already scheduled to teach, which I had executed by the grace of God on the topics of witchcraft, on the rules of engagement, on Mystery Babylon, on all the things that I've taught in our series leading up to this one. So I tried as much as possible to finish that, and then all this while I've been musing over the assignment I was given. Son of Elijah is meant to clean up the church. Number one of that, the wisdom of God says we need to get a mythical Babylon out. What is mythical Babylon? I thought about it. I said, what is mythical Babylon? I know what Mystery Babylon is. The Bible makes it very clear what Mystery Babylon is. I know that Babylon is spiritual entities that hijack the gifts of man and hire, as it were, human agents to represent Satan's kingdom in the physical human kingdom of man. And this entity, Satan uses them to corrupt the rest of us. And by so doing, he is able to corner their existence into a corner, as it were, mutilate them, and then now use them to impact the rest. That's why it's called Mystery Babylon, because Babylon is the kingdom of Nebuchadnezzar, which was the only kingdom that operated at a different frequency, whereby when he attacked other kingdoms, he doesn't just go in and kill them, but rather he tells them to submit, and then he will take all their best, all their gold, all their silver, all their wealth, and then take the most gifted, the most prolific, the most excellent, talented, the chiefest of the men, the rulers of the land, and then export them to Babylon and utilize them to accomplish and build his own majesty and his own kingdom up. That is what Babylon is. Now, if we now port it to the book of Revelation, where it now talks about Mystery Babylon, he's talking about a kingdom that does exactly the same thing that Nebuchadnezzar does, but in a spiritual setting, because the word mystery means hidden. So there's an actual kingdom in the belly of the waters that literally takes the talents and the gifts of men and their abilities and utilizes them by corrupting their very essentiality, and now use them as instruments to be able to mutilate the rest of humanity. And by so doing, they become an army representing Satan, which is different from Satan's already kingdom of darkness that is made up of powers of darkness, that is made up of rulers of darkness, and that is made up of princes of darkness. And those are the devils, those are the Satans, those are the demons, and all the agents of wickedness, also known as kings, that operate out of the high places. So I understood that perfectly. But what is mythical Babylon? And I said, no, I heard it very carefully. I heard it very clearly. She said mythical Babylon. So if it's a myth, it has to be mythical Babylon. It's not mystery Babylon. So if it is mythical Babylon, what is mythical Babylon? And then I started searching the word myth. And from that word myth, I now understood that that was from where the word mythical was created from. The adjectival classification of the word myth. And then from there I did a little bit of research and now found out that the word myth is the same word for fables as used in the New Testament. So I now said, okay, so she's saying I must try and get the fablers out of church. So who are the fablers? You see, the mythical Babylon is different from mystery Babylon. Mystery Babylon and mythical Babylon are related because they are all run by the head of that snake, the intelligentsia of the destructive nature of the dragon, which is the same snake that came into the garden and came after Eve and then eventually after Adam. So it is the head of the dragon, which is that head of a snake. But he's now trying to tell me that at the depth of that snake, he has individuals that are known as mystery Babylonians. And mystery Babylonians are the ones who hire and hijack individuals who are originally meant to be prophets in God's kingdom. And as a result of that, these individuals are what produces mystery Babylon. But mystery Babylon are false prophets. So false prophets are controlled by mystery Babylon. If mystery Babylon cannot kill them, then he hires them. If mystery Babylon comes, he wants to kill them. And if he can't find ways to neutralize them, the best thing is to hire them. And by hiring them, they now become Babylonians. And those are the people that we call false prophets. But then we now come to the fablers. The fablers are the mythical Babylons. They are the mythical Babylonians that are teaching lies in the church. They are false teachers. They are false teachers. They are false teachers. And that's why 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 1 says, for there were false prophets among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you also, who will privately shall bring in damnable heresies, heretic messages, even denying the lordship of Jesus, and by so doing will bring upon them and bring very swift destruction, not only upon themselves but upon those who listen to them. So there are falsifiers that will be false teachers. Now the false teachers are different from the false prophets, because the false prophets are the ones who provide false solutions that are rooted in the trafficking of the souls of men, while the false teachers are individuals who are fablers. So they teach story time, literally, and the things they do are targeted towards mutilating the fundamental principles on which the church of Jesus and his people are built upon. That is the mythical Babylonians, and they are in the church, and the wisdom of God says to me that they need to be taken out. And then the second thing she says is that we need to get the rats out of the church. The rats are spiritual rodents that come in to feast upon the corrupted practices that have now become a norm by the saints as a result of the corruptive or corrupting messages of mythical Babylon. Mythical Babylon, the byproduct of their fables, is corruption, and that corruption is what has drawn in the rats, and the rats are there to make sure they consume these corrupted substances that is a result of disobedience and going against the fundamental foundational teachings of Christ. These are usurpers, literally, that are trying to overthrow the pillars of the kingdom, all rooted in the teachings and the false teachings and the heretic compromising content of these mythical Babylonians known as false teachers. And then the third thing she told me was that I should get ready to get the prisoners, because there are people that are bound in the church. There are people that are bound to these teachings. There are people that are bound to the chains. There are people that are bound to the lies. There are people that are bound by Satan as a result of the fact that they have believed the lie. They have made lies their refuge. They have made lies their dwelling place. They have made lies their stoppers. They have made lies the refuge and the stronghold that is mutilating their existence. And as a result of that, they are bound, they are chained, nothing is working. They are not able to grow spiritually as a result of these teachings. And as a result of that, they are stuck. And all this are the workings, ultimately, of Mystery Babylon. Because she's the one that owns mythical Babylon. She's the one that sends in the rats to feast upon the corruptive practices. Because the rats are now participators of that corruption. So they are the ones that are now pushing for the saints of God to continue in this destructive trajectory in the church. And as a result of that, they are being mutilated, and they are now being bound. And because they are bound, they are now in chains. They are incarcerated. And that's the reason a lot of Christians are struggling. Things are not working. They are trying to get things to happen. It's not happening. Their lives are moving nowhere fast. They are not able to accomplish anything for the kingdom. They are pushing, but they are failing. They are trying, but they are tripping over their lives. They are tripping over the things they are trying to do. Nothing is working. Jesus says that it is your fruits that would determine the quality of impact that you are truly making, because wisdom is justified by her results. And these individuals are not having results. They are miraculous. They are miraculous. Nothing is working, and they are stuck. And these individuals are binding God's people. They are limiting them, and they are bringing them to a place wherein they are struggling, and they are not able to make any traction in that which is being done. And this is the fundamentals of the principles of wickedness that Mystery Babylon has now pushed out in the place of false teachers, the outcomes and the follow-throughs of the rats that are feasting upon designations, and those who are bound that nothing is working for their lives and their destinies. And as a result of that, people are struggling, nothing is working, they're in church, they are just there, they do everything they can, they pay their tithe, they listen to the word of God, and they go back home, their ears are tickled, the problems continue, they are not set free, and all this are the workings of Mystery Babylon executed on the platform of mythical Babylon in the mind, the rats that are in the church in the physical, and then in the spiritual realms, the bondage of the chains that is still holding them down even in the church. And that is the workings of Mystery Babylon. And now God has sent the Son of Elijah, which is the mandate of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, to go in and clean this mess up. And so that's what we are here to do. That's what we are here to accomplish. That's what we are here to run after. That's why we are here. And that's why I would encourage you to please follow through on this series, because I'm going to stretch it out and make sure that we take full advantage of the revelatory impact that is come, so that our destinies and designation can fully bring about transformation in the lives and the destinies of all those that shall begin to tap into the frequency of the depths of that which is presented here. I will leave it here today. I will leave it here. My name is Mac the Lion, and I've been your host for Son of Elijah. I want you to listen and continue to listen to these things. Please do like, share, and subscribe, and then let others be able to partake from that which you are listening to today also. Please, if you want to be a part of what we're doing, you're very free to go to the description section to connect with us, both for international and local givers. If you want us to pray for you, if you want us to set you free, if you want us to administer to your destiny, please also go there. You'll see our email address. Please use it, send us a mail, and then we'll give you our number. And then with that, you can be able to send messages to Son of Elijah and the mandate, and there'll be those who will be able to help you get beyond where you are. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for enjoying this content. Thank you for being a part of what we are doing here. Thank you, and I will see you in the next episode of Son of Elijah. Bye.